Okay. Okay, so I think let's start the session without taking any further time. Welcome all of you to the Catalyst program session that we are organizing. So our guest speaker is Toral Shaji. Let me introduce her first. So, Toral Shaji, she is a new age educator, founder of Rishihood and the principal of Dominic's Group of Education Institution. She has a background as a former investment banker and an MBA in finance. Toral Shaji brings a unique blend of financial expertise and a passion for education. Toral Shaji has had a significant impact on the lives of over 2,000 children through her work in coaching, training, and mentoring. She has also played a pivotal role in empowering around 500 students, a 500 teacher, recognizing the importance of continuous learning and growth for educators. With her dedication for creating meaningful learning experiences and her commitment to nurturing the potential of each child, Sarol Shaji is making a significant impact in the field of education. Her innovative approaches and emphasis on inclusivity and self expression are shaping the future of education and inspiring young minds to explore and grow. Uh, so, yes, without taking any further time, I will ask Sarol Shaji to take the session forward. And any questions you guys have regarding this session, please feel to ask the questions on the chat box. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Saurabh. A very good evening to all of you. So we are having Janya, Govinda, Prachi, and Lakshmi. I hope all of you are doing well. And I hope you all know today's topic. The session topic today is 21st century skills. So can I just see hands raised, digitally hands raised, that y'all are present here? All the four of you? What about Prachi and Lakshmi? Okay, so let's get started. I'll be sharing my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. We can see your screen.
Okay, great. So let's get into it right away. So today we are discussing about 21st century skills. So what is this buzzword about 21st century skills, and why is everyone talking about it? This is something which we all need to know. So before we begin, I would want to know from all of you, since you all are Rishihood students already. So what is it that you already know about 21st century skills? And also, would you want the session to be interactive, or do you want it just one-sided? Because it is the session and the time that you are giving in for this. So I would like to deliver the session the way you want it. How would you want the session? You all can either speak or write in chat or open your camera and speak. Interactive. If you want the session to be interactive, then I would request that you all speak also, right? So as Janya said, she wants the class interactive. Can you tell me whatever you know about 21st century skills, Janya?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
According to me, 21st century skills, especially for students, like we are evolving towards technology. So the basic skills I feel like should be technological and practical skills.
Okay. Is it only technological skills
No,
that are
it's
required?
not just technological skills, because nowadays we need to put ourselves in front of society. We need to show who we actually are. So confidence, communication are the basic things which are required. I don't think only in 21st century, but these are the basic needs. But yeah, we need it till now. We need it, or we will always need these skills. But if especially, I guess we need to evolve ourselves with time, and technology is something that is, because we can see chat GPT and other tools coming up for several things. So we have to evolve ourselves with time, and technology is something that I think is we should focus on.
Absolutely, yeah. See, if you see from the internet age, from starting from, you know, when we had the first way of communication by way of radio, and then came the telephone, and then came the computers, and then the internet. We have seen these changes happen over probably millennia, right? Taking a millennium to do it, or more than that. But now, with the way that things are evolving and changing, as you said, Janya, we have to be not only updated with technology, but we need to know of lot of skills that come into play, right? So it's not just about reading, upgrading to new systems like what Windows and Apple they keep doing, or other technological companies they keep upgrading, right? So other than that, what are the other skills that are required is what we will discuss today. So that is the objective of today's session of 1 hour, where you will be getting aware of, becoming aware of what is really important for all you college students, because now that you all are in Rishihood, what are the important skills to flourish and have a successful career and a successful academic growth in the university that you've joined, right? So knowing that from November 30th, when ChatGPT came up, till now, there have been already 2 versions. And in a week's time, there were about 100 million users. This has never happened, right, in the history of technology, for anything to come up so fast. And now people are talking about so many things, right? Are we getting into a dystopian world, or is it going to be an utopian world, right? This is something that we need to think about and debate. So what are the necessary skills that are required for one to develop, other than what we were learning previously in our schools and colleges? What is it that we need to know? So let's do a very quick comparison between the 19th century and before, and now the 21st century. So before coming here, again, I would like to ask some of you, what are the changes that we are seeing in the 21st century and before? Other than technology, technology is the main one. Other than technology, what are the other things that we have seen in the education part of it? And otherwise also, if you want to discuss about things that have changed, what are the other things that have changed in 21st century?
May I?
Yeah, please.
So, if we talk about education, then earlier students and teachers were not so comfortable along with each other, and students were not students didn't open up with their professors. But nowadays we have our right to keep our opinions, and things have been more towards experiential studies rather than classroom studies. This is something for education.
Right, absolutely. So you said that back in the day, it was like teachers always right, and teachers put on the pedestal. Teacher knows everything, she's perfect. But now it is more of teacher being a learner, teacher learning with students, professors learning with students, and professors becoming co-learners. So it's the whole scenario being changed, not only because of the technology coming in, but it is more or less that, learning happens 360 degrees. It doesn't happen one way. I can very well conduct this session one way, which I completely hate doing it, but I would love to know your views and whatever you are speaking here, your friends over here who have joined, they will also learn about you and learn more about what you are saying. And in the process, we all are learning. It's not that I have come prepared. I don't need to learn anything from you. So that is a mindset and the attitude shift that we are talking about here. So back in the day, we were more concentrating on the content part of it, on the information part of it, because we were in the information age. And now we are in the digital age, where with ChatGPT, Google, etc. Well, Google needs to buck up because nobody's using Google anymore. Everybody's using ChatGPT, right? So everything is at our fingertips. So rote learning is gone. Everything is gone. We need to concentrate on something that we can use at different times and without being conscious about it. And that is nothing but developing competencies, because competency is nothing but a manifestation of four things: knowledge, skills, attitude, and values, right? And in order to perform a task which would be really successful, and you are doing it without being conscious about it and solving real life challenges, that is what competency means. So here we are emphasizing more on gaining skills and competencies. Technology was less back then, and now technology is at its peak and evolving by the day. And there was probably everybody used to specialize in one, like you say that I want to specialize, say, in one particular stream. But now it is no longer that. We are looking at multiple specializations. So if we are taking commerce, we are not just looking at commerce related subjects, right? We can take psychology, we can take art, and integrate all of this into our main domain that we are looking at. Then in before 21st century, everything was kind of slow. Things were evolving, but not at such a fast pace as we are in right now. And always there was physical presence required, but now with virtual world, the way we are discussing, everything is going where digital and virtual, right? So these are some of the main differences pertaining to us. There are many more, but we will just stick to these for now. So as I said, education is no longer about content delivery. We are not here, or you are not in Rishihood University to learn from your professors about the subject or what the subject contains. It is more about understanding whether you have understood the concept and you are able to deliver it in your own way. It is no longer assessment driven, where only your marks and grades are counted. Can you tell me, other than assessments, what are the other important things that you will be assessed by? When I say assessments, it need not be written exams only. There are many other things by way of which professors will be assessing you. Can you think of any?
Group activities.
That is one. What else?
The way you socialize, and the way you put all the things in your daily routine, in daily life. How can you practically apply your knowledge?
Okay. So application of knowledge, right? Then you said group activities or projects, right? How you are doing some voluntary work for the university. Are you coming up with some initiative from your side, right? Are you doing something from your side which will benefit this particular university, which is like a community for you? Are you doing some or initiating, taking leadership approaches in order to attain some particular task? Okay, that could be one. when you are doing, when you are undertaking some kind of field work or field study, what is your approach towards it? What is your attitude? Okay. All those things are also assessments. How are you discussing with your colleagues? How are you, for example, when exams are approaching, what is your approach towards exams? Are you doing it last minute, or are you doing it methodically over a period of time? What is your approach to that? So all of this, your professor, your main professor, subject professors, all guest professors will be seeing, right? Because it's not just the marks and the grades, but all these things, your voluntary work, your social responsibility projects, all these things also will come into the play. And that is what national education policy is also talking about, which is talking about co-curricular activities. How are you active in that? Because co-curricular speaks a lot about your personality, not just your academics. What kind of co-curricular you're picking up, by way of which you identify yourself with, right? So it is more to do with all of these, which is leading to a holistic development of yourself, right? So let's concentrate on your personality as a whole, rather than you just looking at the academic side of it, right? So that way you will be able to not only develop confidence in yourself, but you will be empowered to do more in whatever you wish to do, whether it is academics, non-academics, co-curricular, voluntary work, all of that. You need to find your niche. You need to find your passion, right? So lot of choice is given to students. And I'm sure Rishihood is also giving a lot of autonomy to students to decide not only their subject part of it, but also in terms of decision making, where students will be given a lot of decision making tactics here. So in the 21st century, we have seen that there will be a lot of AI in education. I don't know how many of you have used some of these softwares and all, where there is this intelligent tutoring system, ITS, and then this one is dialogue-based tutoring system, where you are wanting to sharpen some of your conceptual understanding of a particular subject, and then there is an online tutor who's helping you with all these things, right? You can have your professor, but professors, as you know, are always busy. So how can you self-learn at your own pace? So all these things are available. So it's not just ChatGPT. You need to also learn and find out more from the internet, and also from your professors, that which are these systems that are there which you can use. For example, there is Khan Migo of Khan Academy, which is very, very adept, and it teaches you concepts from the basic level, from the foundational level. There are, so I am the school principal of Dominic's, which is in Hyderabad. Many of our students refer to Khan Migo. But for college students, I'm sure there is also Khan Migo available, which you can try. There is no harm in asking questions. So the way, how many of you have used any of these systems like online tutoring? It works beautifully.
Ma'am, I have used.
Which one have you used?
Ma'am, I used to refer to Khan Academy sometimes.
Okay.
And Vedanta, an academy, Physics Wala.
Physics Wala is also really good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So in fact, a case study was done on Physics Wala, as in how did the co-founders come up and build a company like Physics Wala. It's very interesting. So all these things you can find out, and it's there is no, it's all sharing of knowledge here. Like, see here, right now we came to know from Devansh that he has used Khan Migo and he has used Physics Wala. You all can discuss amongst yourselves. Professors would help you. And if there is nothing else, then ChatGPT is always there. And we are here to learn from all these various numerous resources that are there available for us, right? So as I said, 21st century is more about character development rather than just focusing on and only on academics. So that was before the 20th century, that it was completely academic oriented. But now we are getting more into that and more into developing a multidisciplinary approach, which means that we are integrating various subjects and not looking at subjects as silos, where I am looking only at science and art cannot be integrated on that front. Okay, so it's all to do with looking at a problem, looking at a particular situation holistically, rather than compartmentalizing as this is just a financial problem or this is just a management problem. Okay, we are looking at it holistically, which could be integrated with a mix of all. It could be an interpersonal problem also. It could be a political problem also. It's the way we see it. So now, what are these 21st century skills? And what is it that you need to be aware of? So one is life and career skills. Then one is the 4 C's, which are the critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And as Janya said, ICT, that is information and media and technological skills. So this is what the 21st century skills are about. And now we'll see each of them in detail, right? So when it comes to life and career skills, what is it that we require? Is it just smartness and hard work? Or is it something more than that? Well, definitely it is something more than that. Smartness is definitely required. Hard work, you need to critically analyze whether hard work is really required or not. We don't want to do gada mazuri in whatever we are doing. We have to work smart, right? So in order to do that, you need to ask a lot of questions to yourself. And that is what is critical evaluation. How do you critically evaluate a particular situation or a problem or a case study or just a general thing, okay, that you do every day. So you say that you are doing hard work and lot of time is getting spent on it. So rather than doing so much of spending time on a particular thing, can you think of an alternative solution and reduce your time, right? So that is working smart. So in order to do that, these are what we'll be talking about here is are the skills that are required. So one has to be really very quick, dynamic, nimble, agile, so to say, in order to adapt to a particular situation. How are you changing with a particular situation? How flexible are you with that? That depends on how smartly you are working, right? What initiatives you are taking. And as in, initiative as in everything not driven by your professor or not driven by the curriculum that is laid for you by Rishihood. What are the other things? Are you thinking out of the box? And do you have the bandwidth and the time? Are you taking the time out to know that what are the initiatives I can take because it is of my interest? Either it is of your interest or it could be because it really matters to you, right? So, this depends on the autonomy that is given to you, right? Autonomy given by your professors. Then what are the social and the cross-cultural skills? How active are you in your group? Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be extrovert. There are some who are introvert, right? And then they express it differently. Doesn't matter. Some people are very comfortable on WhatsApp, but when you have to meet personally, they are shy. and they take time to open up. That doesn't matter at all. But what I mean to say is, you need to be socially active to see that as you are a group of, you must be a small group of, how many of you are here who have joined Rishihood in this academic year?
Yes, ma'am.
How many of you?
Ma'am,
The session has not started yet. So we are clueless about the strength, total strength.
Okay, no problem. So let's assume you are a group of 25 or 30, right? At the end of the whole academic year, you would know each of these people, and you would know that this batchmate of mine has this expertise. This batchmate of mine, this is his domain. So it is a path to network with each other. You have joined this university where children are coming from various backgrounds, various walks of life, and from various parts of the country. So how are you culturally equipped to mingle with these many people? Because we are all talking about inclusivity, diversity, things like that. So how are you adjusting to that, right? And how are you making the most of it from this particular environment that you are in? Then inspirational and productivity, right? So basically, you are looking at stories, you are probably reading stories or watching movies which inspire you. You talk to people who are probably, or you're having a group or a leader or a mentor who's very inspiring to you. So that is the kind of group that you should be in. A group which is highly inspirational and which is a notch above you, so that you are always and always learning. And because you're always and always learning, you get inspired to do more. And because you get inspired to do more, your productivity increases. So that is the way to this point. And leadership. So leadership comes with responsibility, right? You are feeling responsible about certain thing. You feel that I own this. You want to do this particular thing. So you take responsibility for it. And because of which you feel strongly about it and you want to lead it. So that's where your leadership skills come into the picture, right? So these are about your general skills, which is not only valid in your college life, but it is valid all through your life. Okay, it's just the way your outlook and your attitude, the attitude that you have towards life, if it is a positive one, all of these are possible to take in, right? But if you have an outlook towards life that things are difficult and you have failed, there have been many setbacks, the way you come out of it, you are very resilient and you come out of it, which is very easily said than done. But failing, if you fail in anything, I feel you have got the biggest lesson of your life. So it is good to fail and learn about it and write down whatever has happened because of which you have failed, right? And that's what makes you really a strong person, because those people who make mistakes and fail, they have much more experience than those who haven't, because they will not do those things. They know that they've gone through it, so they will not definitely go through all of that, right? So these are the general life skills, okay, so to say, which are pertaining to you at this age and which starts from now. So we'll go to the next one. So now coming to the 4 C's, these are the 2 C's, critical thinking and creativity. And this is to do with learning and innovation skills, right? So anybody knows what is critical thinking? Anybody can tell me what is critical thinking? Try. There's no harm in trying. You should always try.
May I speak?
Yeah, please.
I think it would be like taking into account many aspects about a particular task that we would like to perform, and like maybe think about what would happen under different circumstances and prepare for it.
Yeah. That is one part of it. Yes. Thanks, Lakshya.
Welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else?
Connecting the dots.
Connecting the dots. Yes. Who said that? Devansh. Yeah. So I hope everybody knows what is connecting the dots. So, you have one piece of information, and then you have information coming in from somewhere else, right? And then you have information, again, somebody is telling you about it. So you are trying to synthesize information that is available, and you're trying to make a coherent conclusion coming out of it. Yeah, that is connecting the dots. So more or less, whatever you are saying is on the right track. There are some points that are missing. So let me cover that. So critical thinking is basically some data or some text or whatever is given to you. Okay, it could be a story, it could be some hard facts, it could be numbers. Okay, critical thinking can be applied in any subject. Okay, and because it can be applied in any subject, it becomes extremely important that you develop this particular skill, which can be applied to any of your subjects which you are studying. Right? So what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is nothing but multiple things. One is first of all, understanding the information that is given to you. Then you analyze it in detail. What is it trying to tell you? And then what are you inferring from it? And then you evaluate that situation. After evaluating it, as Devansh said, you synthesize, you connect the dots, and then you come to the conclusion. So it is a series of steps which takes place in order for you to think critically, right? So when is this done? Suppose you're having an argument with somebody. You would present your logic, you would present your reasoning. So that's your logical and reasoning skills, right? So if you are reading some article in the newspaper or analyzing a story from the author's point of view, so first of all, you are thinking what you believe in, what are your thoughts, what are your opinions, and then presenting your argument for that. That is critical thinking. Then the other part where critical thinking comes into place, when you are solving a problem. So when a problem is presented to you, there are multiple solutions, right? You think of the pros and cons for each of the solution, and then you decide which solution I should take. Should I take solution A, B, C, or D? And why should I take? What are the parameters? Is there a rubrics? If there is no rubrics, can I make a rubric and decide which one should I take? Where you see that the pros and cons are similar between three alternatives, again, you have to critically evaluate which one would you take, right? You will decide your priorities, you will decide multiple parameters on the basis of which you will choose that particular solution. That is nothing but critical thinking, right? Then there is some kind of comparative analysis that you have to do. It's similar to what I just said. Comparative analysis could be, let's compare the two epics. Ramayana and Mahabharata. Okay, who was probably a antagonist or a protagonist in both these epics according to me? Yeah, and again present your reasoning for it. So you are seeing from the author's perspective, you are seeing based on the narration that is given to you, that how am I coming up with such analysis? Am I getting my bias into it? Do I have some prejudices? Am I aware of my prejudices and my biases? So, sometimes what happens, there are different kinds of biases also. One is confirmation bias. Anybody knows what is confirmation bias? You need to be aware of your biases very, very well. Because if you are not aware, then you might actually talk irrational and nonsensical stuff in presenting your argument. So if you are aware of your biases, then again you are thinking critically, right? And that is called a metacognitive ability, where you are actually you are aware of certain beliefs that you hold, and you are questioning why you are holding those beliefs, right? So to give you an example, my belief is that I should definitely not go to a religious place on a Thursday. Okay. But I don't have a reasoning for it. I have been told by my parents and my family not to go to a religious place on Thursday. Now, it doesn't make any logical sense, right? But it is a belief in the family and we hold it, and it's been going on for generations, right? So I'm questioning that belief, right? I'm questioning that belief. Why am I holding that kind of belief, right? What is the logic for it? So that is called metacognitive ability. So are you aware of your biases? Do you know what kind of biases are there in you, right? One is a very common one, which is called anchor bias. So what happens in anchor bias? You enter a shop. All of you must have gone for shopping at least once in your lifetime, right? You enter a shop. You see the first item, which is say of $100, right? 100 rupees, $100, whatever. Okay. And then you go into the shop further, and then you see 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 10 rupees, 5 rupees. Will you buy that same item which costs 100 rupees? It depends on many things. I'm not saying that you wouldn't buy, but if it is of high quality, you might buy that item of 100 rupees. So what happens when you see the items of 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 10 rupees, whatever, which are much lower than 100 rupees, is that you feel this is so cheap. Okay. But actually, it might not be cheap also. So this is an anchor. The bias has been anchored into you to say that this is really cheap, 30 rupees. But it is not actually cheap. They are just developing a bias in you so that you buy. Okay, so that is an anchored bias. So one needs to be aware of these kind of biases. The other is a confirmation bias, which really goes by what you believe in. If I believe that this has not to be done, I will not do it. But at least think about it, why you are thinking like that. So thinking about thinking is metacognition, right? So this is also the most important is you are evaluating the credibility and reliability of different sources of information. So when you type in ChatGPT or when you type in Google about something, right? Will you critically evaluate whatever comes in as a first response on ChatGPT, or will you completely believe in whatever ChatGPT response you have got, right? So ChatGPT is not God, by the way. right? We all know that. And there are ways of how to use the prompts effectively so that you get the answer of what you are looking for. There are various studies and various best practices of ChatGPT. I'll post a link, which I think all of you should read it, because it tells you how to use ChatGPT very well, right? So let us first consider that ChatGPT is not God. You have to be God in order to make ChatGPT your God. Are you understanding? Right? So I will be sending you a link. Remind me at the end of it to send you the link on chat. And it is really, really the best way of using ChatGPT. Right? So coming back to assessing and knowing the credibility and reliability of various sources of information, you need to have critical thinking that this is probably fake information. This is a really good information. Okay. So that is again where critical thinking comes into play. Then the other one is data analysis. You have lots of data with you, right? So how do you employ critical thinking skills? By interpreting it in various ways so that you get meaningful conclusions from that information. And always we have debates, discussions. In that also, how are we critically evaluating to have a successful debate? And you're not talking just nonsense. You are talking logical stuff because you have critically evaluated it. And in all of this, there is something called as reflection and self-assessment, which you need to do continuously for yourself. What do I like? What do I not like? Why do I think like this? Why don't I think like this? Okay. When you ask such questions to yourself, lots comes into you to know that what kind of person you are, what is your thought process, right? So all that is part of critical thinking, and because of which it becomes very, very important, because it's the way you are thinking, right? So, and you're not thinking just because somebody has told you. You have put your mind into it and then you've come to a conclusion. So that takes time, right? And second C is creativity. Whatever we do, we are demonstrating our originality in that. And we are inventing work. So what is called ingenuity, we are more or less, as humans are known to be producing ingenuity and known for ingenuity, right? So what is it that we are coming? Any kind of invention. Now we do the design thinking, right? You need creativity in that. So all of this is to do with, again, the misconception that creativity is to do only with art or music and drama and things like that. But creativity comes in everything. It comes in every subject. How are you different? How are you thinking out of the box, right? So all that is creativity. Then the third C is communication. How well are you articulating your thoughts? What are your ideas? What are your views? Are you able to pose your opinions clearly, whether it is by way of writing or speaking or in silence also? The best politics happens only in silence, by passing some or the other kind of, by way of actions, right? So the act that you play, right, also speaks a lot about and communicates a lot to everyone around you. So again, all of this comes to how mindful you are. Every word that comes out of your mouth or every word that you write on WhatsApp matters, and you really need to think before you write or speak anything. And communication, we can't say that communication is no longer required in the 21st century, because it's all about being virtual, digital, AI doing most of our work, things like that. But it is ultimately how we are driving all of this, right? How we are posing ourselves to be. So in that context, communication plays a paramount, gets a paramount place on it. And that is why It is important. Fourth is collaboration. Without collaboration, we cannot survive. You are a group of 20, 25, how many you are. If you do not collaborate, then your particular cohort of these many number of people will all be working in isolation. We can't have only few number of children speaking, right? We need everybody to participate. So some might be good in this, some might be good in that, some might be good in AI, some might be good in content creation, somebody might be good in specific academics and research, things like that. So you need to identify what are you good in. Again, in that, there are many tools available, digital tools like Flipgrid, Slack, and Asana. You can try some of these. I've mentioned only 3 of these because I have tried them. And if you have to work remotely or online, these are beautiful tools to collaborate with your batchmates online, right? So these are some basic literacy skills. So we have covered the life skills, career skills, and the 4 C's. And now we come to the knowledge part of it. So this covers the knowledge part of it. So this is nothing but your language. You need to have language skills, right? Without language, how would you communicate? So literacy is that. Numeracy is taking care of your math. And then you have scientific literacy. So basically in scientific literacy, even if you don't, if you're not a science student, you still kind of require this, because it's a lot about inquiry that you need to do. So in inquiry, you need to ask the questions, why, right? So as a famous scientist had once said, I forgot his name, but as he said, I would rather have questions that are not answered than have answers which cannot be questioned, right? So there should always be an inquiry for you, that why should I believe what is there in the book? I want to question it. Or why should I believe what the professor has just told us? Or why should I believe that the curriculum is like this? Let me question it, right? And I'm sure Rishihood University, which is a very forward-looking, open-minded university, providing a lot of autonomy to children, will be able to suffice this and will be able to help you solve all your queries, right? Then we have definitely ICT, which is information and computer technology. So without this, nobody can survive these days. You need to have financial literacy also, and cultural and civics literacy, which is to know about your culture, know about your country, or where you belong to, all of that, and the community, right? So in covering this a bit more further, information, media, and technology skills. So are we able to distinguish fake information from real one? Like when we read newspapers or articles or even whatever comes on WhatsApp, okay? Are we able to critically evaluate, as I spoke about it earlier, or do we completely believe whatever is presented in front of us? Are we always skeptical about whatever is there in front of us? Or do we believe, and we are very gullible and naive to believe whatever is there in front of us, right? So if we are like that, then probably we are not critically thinking, right? So that is where we need to know what is fake information and what is real information. So that is also a skill, right? Assessing information accurately and creatively to solve the problem at hand. Whatever information you have got, what are you doing with that? Are you just sitting with it, ignoring it, moving ahead? Or you're looking at that problem to solve it, right? Then understanding how media messages are constructed. This is very important. there was a critical evaluation of the movie Kerala Story, right? Some people say that it was, how many of you have watched the movie? Only one? Nobody else has watched it? Okay. So many people say that in Kerala Story, this was a publicity stunt. Why this was put up now? Because of general elections next year? What is it that they are trying to tell us? And that's how some of the other movies were also released just before general elections, right? So we really need to understand whatever is given to us, whether it's an advertisement, whether it is a movie, why it's being presented at that time. What is the motive behind it? We read some articles in the newspaper, right? It is shown as an article, but it is actually an advertisement, because people pay to have their article being put up in a famous newspaper like Economic Times or Financial Express or even Times of India, right? People pay for those kind of articles, right? So whatever we read, even awards for that matter, right? Awards also are given, it's like a whole publicity stunt for recognition, for awareness. Many of the awards are paid, okay? But people like to take awards because they look for external validation. They want that, our work is recognized, everybody knows that I got an award, right? So everything has a motive at the back. We need to understand what is the motive. If the author has written something, what is the motive of the author to do that? If a director has directed a movie and released the movie, what is the motive of that director? Always be skeptical. Always be asking questions so that you're not taken for a ride. Okay? Though the movie Kerala Story I've heard, I have not seen it, but I have heard and seen the trailer. It's basically because of creating some kind of awareness of this Hindutva thing, and of getting the next prime minister, which is probably Yogi ji coming in. And that's why they want this whole thing against anti-Islam and things like that. And that's why they came up with a movie. So it's right timing also, right? So people start thinking about it. So that's what we should not get always emotionally swayed by things that are presented to us, but we are aware of our emotions at the same time. Okay. Then examining how individuals interpret messages differently, right? Yes. So here it could be messages, it could be a story, it could be a case study. It's very important in critical thinking also. What are our perspectives? Okay. What is Janya's perspective? What is Laksha's perspective? What is Devansh's perspective towards a particular thing that is being discussed? Even if it is against your perspective, you acknowledge your batchmate's perspective, and you know that, okay, this is how my friend thinks. Let me acknowledge that, because the learning happens only when we discuss, and not just when you just hear one person speak about it, right? And also the last and the most important skill is, how are you using these tools? Are you using it most appropriately so that you're most effective, or you're just using it without getting the most out of it, right? So that's where I was talking about the best practices of ChatGPT. I'll send you the link for that. And now coming to, yeah. So the future doesn't belong to those who can solve lower level, simpler problems or repetitive tasks. We have AI to do it. We have machine learning to do that. It belongs to all of you who can think abstract and in larger systems, and more importantly, contextualize it and articulate it extensively well, and then iterate it over for perfection. So it is basically for people who can think creatively and out of the box, right? And who can connect the dots and who can present a conclusion that has some meaning. That is what I have worded it differently here, right? So the future of jobs wouldn't be about providing answers, but it would be about asking the right questions. And you will ask questions only and only if you are interested, number one. Number two, only and only if you're curious about something. Number three, only if it matters to you, right? That's when you will ask questions. Otherwise, you will not ask questions, right? So you should be filled with questions, not necessarily again to your academics, generally also, okay? Every time ask yourself, how many questions did I ask today? Okay, were they just for the heck of asking questions or did I really mean it? Right? So these are some of the things. This is the most important slide of my presentation because a student competency depends only on your motivation. Motivation, if you're motivated enough, you will be able to develop an ability, right? So what is this motivation? It depends on your attitude. So if you are curious, if you are a learner, if you are grateful and humble and taking initiative, having a growth mindset, you will develop a positive attitude, right? So there are different types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. Can anybody tell me the difference between the two? What is or give me an example. What is extrinsic and what is intrinsic? Who would like to give it a shot? And don't worry about right or wrong answers. Please, we are here to learn. So I would like to know from you.
Ma'am, intrinsic and extrinsic are some words we have studied in thermodynamics basically, but talking about in general, maybe extrinsic is something which involves some outer influences, not something that's not with the flow, something that's not
Sorry, I didn't get the last part. I can't hear you anymore. Are you speaking? Am I audible? Okay. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I missed what Janya said. The last part I could not hear. Anybody else who would like to try? It's not something difficult. Intrinsic and extrinsic. It's like internal, external. What could be an external motivator? Something that motivates you externally. Yeah.
Extrinsic motivation depends on external factors and intrinsic comes from within.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Prachi. So extrinsic is something that is external, right? Like the carrot and stick method. So what happens in carrot and stick method? It's like, you do this, I will give you this. If you don't do it, you'll get a stick, right? That's what it means. So that is extrinsic motivation. Somebody is telling you and because of which you are motivated enough to do. Now, if you do this, I will give you a star, like how teachers do in school, right? If you do this, I will give you a star. If you don't do this, I will hit you, right? That is a basic example of an extrinsic motivation. What is intrinsic is what you need to know. Intrinsic could be, there are 3 drivers for intrinsic motivation: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy is the urge for you to drive your own life. Like, I am free enough to decide what I want to do. That is autonomy. Okay. Mastery is something you want to get better and better at something that matters to you. So you are motivated enough to do that because you want to master it. Okay. Purpose is the yearning to do whatever you are doing in seeking something which is larger than life. That you are getting something really big out of it, and because of which you are doing it. So you need to identify which are the drivers out of these 3, because of which you are motivated enough to do what you are doing, right? It could be autonomy, mastery, or purpose. And that has to come from you. You are not doing it to impress your professor. You are doing it because you want to learn, because you want to master a particular skill, and you don't need external validation for that, right? So when you are motivated enough, you will develop that ability to do that particular thing. Okay. So if you are motivated enough and you have the ability, you will increase your competency, right? And that is something that is required in the 21st century. And the last and the most important for you is to be mindful in whatever you are doing, by maintaining a diary or by maintaining a journal, to say that, how was your day? How did you feel today? Why did you feel that way? Were there other situations in which you were feeling that way? Why? So when you are doing it, you are critically evaluating yourself and you're connecting the dots to form a pattern that I did feel bad like this even 10 days ago. Let me look up 10 days back. Why did I feel bad? Is it because I spoke on somebody's back? Maybe I should stop doing that, right? So these are some of the things, and the most important skill to develop is a mindfulness skill. Last and the most important one. If you are not mindful about yourself, if you are not self-aware, then you are just going by the herd mentality. You are just doing whatever Janta is doing, and you are not doing because you want to do. And there are many mindfulness practices. The most effective one for you would be to start journaling or maintaining a diary if you are not doing that. So that we come to an end to 21st century skills for all of you. And I wish you all the very best for your journey ahead in Rishihood University, because I think it's going to be fantastic with the kind of professors and the management and the dean that you have. You will completely enjoy it. So any questions? Happy to take them. Anybody has any questions? No?
Ma'am,
Yes, Govinda.
ma'am, how can we improve our communication skills?
Okay, communication by way of speaking or writing, what? Do you mean writing?
Speaking.
Speaking skills.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for that question. I love questions, and that shows that you all were first of all paying attention and you all didn't fall off to sleep. And also that you all are interested, and because of which you are asking questions. Yes. So communication skills, can be done in number of ways. First of all, I feel that you should be taking up a course, probably a synchronous course with where there is public speaking involved. Okay, because if you are a kind of a person who is shy and doesn't want to speak, then I feel you can try that first. So in public speaking, I need to give a speech, or you need to just say, I think it's mostly at your age, it would be giving a speech only. Then there are many online courses for communication skills that you can take up on Coursera or Udemy, if you have seen that. Are you aware of Coursera and Udemy?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then make a note of it. I'll put it in chat. It is, one second. Coursera or Udemy. Some are free also, and some are paid. So you can try some public speaking courses out there. Okay, then there are some master classes also. Try master class on communication skills, right? First of all, you should be very open to communicating with yourself. I would say you need to start communicating with yourself first. And by that, I mean, start journaling, start writing, start thinking about what you are thinking, right? If you know how to communicate with yourself first, and this applies to everyone, because we don't do it. We feel that communication is always with others, right? We need to start communicating with ourselves first by maintaining a diary and being very mindful about it. And then when we know that our thoughts are clear and everything is set in our mind, then only we'll be able to communicate with our batchmates, right? Even if you think you are, I'm just talking to everyone, even if you think that you are an introvert, you don't want to open up, you don't want to speak up, doesn't necessarily mean that you have low communication skills. I think this is something which you just need to harness over a period of time, which you just need to nurture over a period of time. Okay, so I feel you can go over some of these courses and either type public speaking or communication skills on any of these websites, and I'm sure you will get something. Over there also, what you need to see is the reviews and how many people have taken it, how many reviews are there, how many people have taken it, and what does the whole course contain. Before doing all that, I would like to ask you to ask yourself, what is it that you want to develop for yourself? Because if you have the expectations set up in front of you clearly, then only you will be able to see that this is what I want, right? So first write down your objectives and your expectations. Once you have that, then you can see what is available on the internet, and then you can go ahead with that, right? I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay then. Saurabh, I think it's done.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Turosha ma'am. It's always lovely to hear you. And thank you, all of you. I know you are the paid applicants for the Catalyst program. So we'll be back with the next session for the Catalyst program. And in case if you have any questions that you want to put up to Turosha ma'am, you can write to us. I'll share my mail ID, saurabh.b@rishihood.edu.in. Uh, I have shared my mail ID on the chat box in case if you have any queries, anything that you want to ask Trol Shah ma'am, and currently you are not in a position or you're feeling shy due to some reason, you can share your question to my mail ID and I will share it back to Trol Shah ji. And okay,
Yes,
thank you so much.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Prachi wants that link which I was talking about. I'll just
Okay.
send that link right now. Just
Sure,
one.
ma'am.
Thank you, Prachi, for asking. Here it is. I think this is a necessity. Everybody should use it. Please go through it, read it in detail. It's quite a long one. Saurabh, I think this would be helpful to you also. I think it's
Sure,
a
ma'am.
helpful to everyone. Yeah,
Sure,
not
ma'am.
just students. Use it. Try it out.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, and we'll back with the next session of the Catalyst program. And till then, you can subscribe our channel on YouTube. You can like our page on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and LinkedIn. And in case if you are traveling to Sonipat, Haryana, feel free to come to our campus, and you can reach out to me on my mail ID. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you, Thural ma'am. Thank you all of you for your time and your for everything. Yeah. Thank you so much.